infamous story about Biden's zeal for Israel told by Menachem Begin, who was the 6th Prime Minister of Israel and the former leader of the Irgun, the Zionist paramilitary group responsible for some of the most notorious massacres in the 1948 ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. In 1982, as Israel was conducting a devastating aerial bombardment of Beirut, Begin met with a young Senator Joe Biden from Delaware. According to Begin, Biden applauded the Israeli aggression in Lebanon and said that he personally would have bombed more, even if it meant killing more women and children. For perspective, then U.S. President Ronald Reagan would go on to call Israel's actions in Lebanon a Holocaust.
Children are not avenged by the murder of other children.
Joe Biden is, inarguably, the most pro-Israel president in U.S. history. From his days as a senator to his tenure now as president, Biden has openly and repeatedly made his commitment to Israel as not just a country, but as a necessity known. During his 36-year career as a senator, Biden became the top recipient to receive money from the Israel lobby, something he, as vice president, even boasted about at a dinner in front of more than 2,000 members of the American Jewish community in 2011.
Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region.
If I were a Jew, I would be a Zionist. As a matter of fact, you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist.
I have had the view for the past 24 years that the only way in which there will be peace in the Middle East is when the Arab nations know there is no division between the United States and Israel.
What my record has been, it has been unstinted in the defense and support of Israel.
The United States has never and will never lose our resolve. Israel will never waver.
I don't think there's any senator who's ever done more fundraisers for AIPAC or gone around the country more for AIPAC.
And while we know that the Israel lobby plays a massive political role in the United States in a bipartisan way, Biden has never really needed the lobby. By his own admission, the roots of his affinity for and belief in Israel started when he was a child, listening to his father extol the virtue and necessity of a Jewish state post-World War II.
And my father pointed out to me, I did not need to be a Jew to be a Zionist.
While the genocide of the Palestinians is carried out by the state and military of Israel, the United States, under the leadership of President Joe Biden, has played the role of its sponsor.
There's no red line.
We are not going to create any conditions on the support that we are giving Israel to defend itself.
We will always be there by your side.
The United States strongly supports Israel and its right to defend itself from Hamas, and that support is unwavering.
I wanted to ensure, is that still the case, that the administration has no red lines?
That is still the case.
On March 18th, the Washington Post reported that the Biden administration was well aware 3 weeks into Israel's bombardment of Gaza that civilian structures were being targeted and that there was no actual plan presented by the Israelis to defeat Hamas, all while it approved more than 100 military arms sales. There is nothing this president and the administration have done to show that they have any other interest than the continuation of the genocide in Gaza. And they can't just throw that blame on Netanyahu. After all, was it Netanyahu who made Biden say that he saw with his own eyes beheaded Israeli babies? Was it Netanyahu who made Biden say that he has no notion that the Palestinians are telling the truth about their number of dead? Was it Netanyahu who made Biden flood arms into Israel, who made Biden and Blinken bypass Congress twice on emergency weapons sales to Israel, push for an $18 billion military aid package, have every spokesperson of the administration get up in front of journalists and cover for Israel's documented and undeniable war crimes? And was it Netanyahu who made former Clinton advisor Aaron David Miller say in an interview with The New Yorker that Biden does not hold Palestinians as equals to Israelis? But as the Biden administration and the Democratic Party find themselves in a political crisis in the middle of an election year, there's been a specific media narrative shift on who's actually running the show.
Nobody expects Prime Minister Netanyahu to do the things that must be done to break the cycle of violence.
It's curious to me to see Netanyahu talk the way he does when he tried to interfere in American elections.
This line isn't necessarily new, but it actively erases not only U.S. culpability in the genocide of Palestinians, but Joe Biden's own ideological support of it, and what his legacy should and will be.
There's no apology to be made. None.
The U.S. news coverage of Joe Biden's role in this genocide has to change. And that change begins with reckoning with the simple truth that Gaza is Joe Biden's genocide.